No one likes to do a video on negatives, especially me. However, in the world of spring gardening, sometimes your first chance is your best chance at getting a successful crop. Regardless of your skill level or experience, avoiding common planting mistakes early is the difference between a monumental bounty and a frustrating failure. So today, let's look at the 8 most common planting mistakes to avoid this spring and set our garden off on the right trajectory. The excitement is never higher in a gardener's life than it is in the spring. Your seed box is full, and the millions of seedlings that you've raised up since January are itching to get outside. Great stuff. I'm right there with you. But if you want a successful garden this year, there's some key mistakes that you need to avoid. There's 8 in total, so let's get to them. First up is timing. Planting either too early or too late can have a drastic effect on whether or not these plants grow. Pay attention to seed packet information and your last frost dates for your area. Planting too early can be a downer and a learning experience, but often there's still time to replant at the correct window. Planting too late, however, there's no such reprieve. Speaking of timing, even if it is the correct window of time for your plants to come outside, they still likely need to be hardened off first. Compared to their cushy indoor life, every single environmental pressure is amplified outdoors, and plants react severely and swiftly to drastic changes in wind, exposure, and temperature swings. Spend at least 1 to 2 weeks gradually hardening off these plants for the best chance of success. When planting, you also don't want to be too rough with the plants. Squeezing the plants or pulling too hard on their stems while you're taking them out of the pots can have fatal consequences. Be gentle and be careful. And when you do get planting, be mindful of the spacing. When you first plant and direct seed, you have infinite space and temptful gaps everywhere in your growing area. Don't be fooled. Plants quickly grow into their space. So, observe known spacing rules for each variety of plant that you're growing, and this is one problem that's easy to avoid. The date that you plant is important, yes, but so is the type of day that you choose to plant. Don't pick an overly hot day to first bring out those seedlings. And further to that, avoid windy days too. Young plants need time to get their roots established, and the desiccating effects of both heat and wind can be devastating to those newly transplanted seedlings. Choose cool, overcast, or even rainy days, and your young plants will thank you. Another common mistake is planting depth, both for transplants and for seeded rows like these peas and carrots. Observe the general guidelines for each plant and you shouldn't have any issues. Same goes with seeds. Too shallow and the seeds can dry out or become food for the birds. Too deep and the sprouting seeds may not be able to reach the surface to grow at all. Another big mistake I see is to also not water right away. When transplanting, you want the plants to grow above ground as well as below. Their roots won't expand unless the soil around them is moist and conducive to growth. Give them a good watering immediately after planting. Same with seeds. A seed's ability to germinate is a direct function of available moisture and warmth. Kept too dry, and those seeds will never germinate for you. And lastly, like this raspberry bush here, this goes for all plants at all growth stages. You gotta mulch. A nice thick organic top layer of protection can solve so many garden problems, it's ridiculous. From mellowing out temperature extremes to locking in valuable moisture in the soil's top layer, mulching is the biggest difference maker between gardens that can and gardens that can't. Use things like grass clippings, shredded leaves, hey, even use straw. Just like this hardneck garlic here, I've never met a crop that doesn't benefit massively from mulch. There's nothing more that this tomato plant would like than to have us do a recap of all the planting mistakes we just talked about. Gardening is a long game. As such, early mistakes can compound the subsequent outcomes later in the season with disastrous effects. Avoiding these early missteps can keep your garden humming along right to harvest. As we grow, both literally and figuratively as gardeners, a lot of these practices become innate and second nature. So while it may seem like a lot of information now, as a grower, it'll become more and more obvious and common practice as the seasons pass. All right, as we look back at our list, try to envision the hows and whys these practices have an effect on a crop. Every mistake has an equal and opposite opportunity to not only correct, but hone the craft of gardening. Try to incorporate the solution into every planting, whether by seed or by transplant. And look, it doesn't matter whether you have 3 tomato plants on your patio or a 3-acre strawberry farm. Plants are plants, and each variety has specific requirements to be met to really maximize its production. The nuances of growing come with time and with experience. Do not get discouraged when a crop or plant doesn't work out. Learn and look ahead. These 8 mistakes are far from all-encompassing. You'll have crop and individual plant failures all over. Too many to count. The best gardeners figure out what went wrong and live to grow another day. Don't let all that hard work and enthusiasm from this winter go to waste. Work smarter in your garden, not harder, and enjoy the fruits of it all summer long. Hey, if you have any other expert planting tips and you'd love to share it with our community, leave it in the comments down below. Also, if any of you are on Facebook, head on over and join our gardening group called Growing Better. The group has grown phenomenally fast, yet it will never lose its sense of community or its welcoming feel. If you're passionate about growing epic organic fruits, herbs, and veggies for you and your family, the Growing Better group is a great place to hang out, share, learn, and grow. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. If you're getting value in this and the other series that I'm doing on YouTube, hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons if you'd be so kind, and I'll see you in the next video.